Okay, Lord of the Flies, reference summary, pages 71 through 105. Tried to find the picture of the mysterious looking island on this one. Looks pretty good, I guess. Alright, bunch of stuff. So Ralph confronts Jack and the hunters about letting the fire go out and missing the boat. Letting the fire go out. Yeah, there's nothing left of that one. Not looking good. And missing the boat. On this one, I could put one of the ship out on the horizon, but I wanted the picture of the boat leaving, like the cruise ship departs. Like, well, you had an opportunity and it left without you. I like that one a little better, even though it's a little bit less representative. But they realize they did a bad thing, but they still revel in their success at killing a pig. That's all they're. But we got the pig, even though we lost our opportunity at rescue. Piggy gets punched when he reminds Jack. He said that he would keep the fire up, and his glasses are broken. One lens works, one lens doesn't, so he's a disaster. He can see out of one eye now. Ralph, seeing no real remorse from everybody when he tells them there was a boat, there's a ship, you let the fire go out, they kind of avoid it. But we had to in order to catch the pig. We had to have enough people. They make a couple of excuses. He's heard enough. They eat. And instead of going crazy, he just says, I'm calling an assembly. And he goes down to blow the conch. So he's got to blow the
Distance
conch.
has been on all of our
And when
minds
we
lately.
do the conch blowing thing, I
That
haven't
we've
shown
been
this yet,
too
but
close.
Thought I would.
The age-old tradition of conch shell blowing is alive and well in Key West, Florida. Oh, thank goodness for that. Nearly 30 participants took part in the annual competition to make music with the giant seashell, a tradition that stretches back over 50 years.
When will those conchs go marching in?
Hundreds of spectators watched as conch shell blowers of all abilities took their shot in front of the crowd. Participants were judged on criteria such as loudness, duration, and how novel a sound they could produce. Corey Fritz wowed the crowd with what he said was an original composition, and he took home the top prize in the men's category.
Alright, so there's some conch blowing for you. I know you guys have been wanting to hear one for a while, so there you go. At the assembly, Ralph contemplates how much a leader has to watch his steps. I mean, he's like, you can't make even the slightest mistake. If I'm not a leader and I trip, it's no big deal. No one cares. If I'm a leader and I trip and I slip, that's a big deal. People are like, wow, he made a mistake, and they start keeping track. And then there's the psychology of it. If you know you're being watched, If we draw a line on a floor and we tell people walk across it, we're fine. Now if we take the same line and we make it into a balance beam and we put it way up between two houses, people don't want to walk across it. They could walk across it all day long when it's on the floor, but when they actually have to walk across it, same thing, but the stakes are higher, their mind gets in the way, we start to worry, and then we mess up. So it's one of those our own nerves cause us to fail kind of a thing, right? And that's what Ralph is contemplating now is, he's got to get this right, and he can't have nerves either because the nerves themselves will get him and make him mess up. So Ralph dresses down the boys. There's a term for it. When somebody messes up and you tell them that they messed up, it's called a dressing down. It's the act of speaking angrily to someone about something that was done wrong, right? It's when we mess up and then we have to hear about it, right? That's dressing down. He dresses them down. Here's all the things that we've been doing wrong. At the end, he addresses that the little boys, the little ones, have a lot of fears. And the little ones are scared, and they have these nightmares all the time. And there's a bunch of facts about nightmares, and I was telling you during lecture that nightmares, this is from eMedicine Health, okay? So this is a a legitimate source. And while we don't know why nightmares occur, possible causative factors include normal development, dealing with daytime stress, exposure to frightening situations, illness, various medications may sometimes trigger nightmares in children. Significant life changes, starting class at a new school, parental divorce may lead to nightmares. And between 5 and 10% of people with frequent nightmares have a strong family history of nightmares. Depression, anxiety, intellectual disability can also lead to nightmares. As I start to read down the list, you guys can hear it. These kids, it makes total sense that they would be having the nightmares frequently, and it's going to be getting into their psyche. So they're scared, they have nightmares, they see snakes everywhere, they want to know if someone is going to do something about the snake beastie. They've heard it in the night, and they think they've seen flashes of it during the day. And, when you're dealing with that, right, that's the kind of environment you're in, and you're used to city, and you're walking around in that, it's really hard to get your brain wrapped around the idea that an elephant could maybe be hiding in that, and you might not see it because your eyes are just not used to picking stuff out of that kind of detail with that kind of clutter. That's really difficult. So your brain is going to start to see things. Excuse me. I haven't used my voice today. Your brain is going to start seeing things all sorts of places. Just that did that vine move? Did that leaf flutter, or was it something else? And you're gonna get kind of jumpy. That's just from the environment they're in, right? That's tough. So the older boys all agree that there's no actual beastie, but the way that they do it does not inspire confidence. Piggy says that there is no reason to be scared. There is reason to be scared of people, but not of a beastie. And that the actual fear of people is anthropophobia, which is the fear of people. It's a social disorder. There's social phobia, which is afraid of going out, public speaking, large crowds, stuff like that. And then anthropophobia is literally fear of other people, regardless of the situation, kind of a thing. And these are both phobias. But there's also a certain amount of just, let's face it, logic and reason in this thing. People are possibly the only serious predator of other people, in a lot of environments, because we're smart. It's not because we're so tough. It's because we're smart and we band together socially. So, he says that maybe we have a pretty good reason to be scared of other people. I don't think he's talking about the phobias. He's talking about, well, if one person here wanted to really go bad, we'd have to figure out who it was before they took us all out, kind of a thing. I mean, it's on a deserted island with nobody there to enforce rules or laws. Yeah, I think that one of the only things I'd be worried about are the other people on the island. Because what else on the island's probably going to get you? A pig? A boar? Maybe a sea snake? Those would be some of the most dangerous things on the island, is the other people. Simon says the beast could be the boys. Love that graphic. Maybe the beast is coming from the boys. And I pick up on that right away because, Simon, well, I've read the book before. And Simon's got a lot of knowledge. He seems to see things like a poet. He sees deeper things. He sees patterns in things. He's a bit of a mystic. So he says that maybe the boys themselves are the beast, right? Jack does not believe in the beast, but he does have fears when he's alone in the forest, and he says that he will kill the beast. It's such a complete contradiction. I mean, stop, keep moving, yes and no. The little kids that are looking for some sort of everything's going to be okay are hearing too many different stories from way too many different people, and none of them are like everything's going to be okay. They're like, don't fear that, fear this. Don't fear that, fear this. Well, maybe we should fear it. I'll just kill it, but there's no such thing. That's not going to make people feel confident that they're safe. Simon asks what the dirtiest thing is on the island. There is that moment. Jack ruins it by, laughing and talking about like poop or something like that. But honestly, Simon's trying to get them to think about it. When he says that maybe it's us. What's the dirtiest thing on the island would be, not being selfless, being selfish, being only interested in advancement, only interested in becoming a leader, not interested in other good ideas, stuff like that. That kind of stuff would lead to that would probably be the dirtiest thing on this island that you can do, is not work together, work against one another, compete with one another instead of be a team, right? That might be the dirtiest thing on this island. We don't hear the actual end of that. We don't hear the actual answer to it. It's just a question that's thrown out there, and then Jack answers it incorrectly, and then everybody laughs, and then the question's gone. We see that Jack wants to silence certain people from talking. He's on the I Talk You Listen program, and he even literally names them. What good did we ever get out of Simon talking? And he names 2 or 3 other minor characters that we don't know very much about. And he says certain people need to just shut up and let the rest of us talk and let the rest of us make the decisions. And that's, wow, that's Jack. Jack is going to a dangerous place. Anytime that somebody wants to cut out the dialogue so that nobody else can speak their side of it, that's a dangerous thing. That's not healthy. Jack wants to silence the people. Okay, the conch temporarily loses its power to call assembly. So I've got a picture of a broken conch up here. Maybe that's useful for you to figure out why and how it's able to produce such sound. The sound that you blow in on this end has to spiral through this thing, and it becomes quite amplified by the time that it is leaving this hole. But anyway, the conch does temporarily lose its power to call assembly because they just leave. They're done, and Jack wants to go over there and do his dance and act out the killing of the pig. He doesn't want to listen to being told that he was a bad person or anything like that, and the others don't want to listen to being told that they're bad people either, so they wander off with him. The conch has lost its power to call assembly. At this point, Ralph is saying, maybe I shouldn't be leader, but, that's when Piggy drops the obvious. If Jack becomes chief, there's going to be no fire. There's going to be no rescue, and there's going to be all hunting, and they're probably going to die on this island. Reminding us that, hey, when at some point in this novel, the people, Jack says, I want to vote. Who thinks he's doing a bad job as leader? Who wants Ralph to no longer be chief? And nobody raises their hand. Nobody raises their hand because he hasn't really done anything wrong. He's done all the mature things. He's been put down by Jack, but he's done all of the mature things. So, and then we realize that all the people want to hang out with Jack, but they know he shouldn't be the leader. But they're making him the leader because they want to hang out with him. But they know he shouldn't follow him because he's bad. Wow. Do you see what I mean by that? It's telling us something. There are certain qualities, they're irresistible qualities of leadership, that if you have them, you can be a leader even if your heart and your ethics and your morals are bad, and even if everybody knows they're bad, you still have all the skills that great leaders possess. Chances are good you'll be a leader even though you really shouldn't. Now that's something that tells us something about people. Man, we can end up with the wrong leaders, and we can end up in very bad positions just because only certain traits impress us. Are you charismatic? Can you talk well? Can you put down your opponents? I mean, there's a basic list of skills, and if you have them, you'll probably become leader if you push hard enough, even if you're probably the worst person for the job. Okay, Ralph, Simon, and Piggy all at the end are all alone because everybody's wandered off to go play with Jack, and they are all missing adults. Yeah, They really miss the adults. Oh, I should go back. And the background. This is the island's got like some spooky side to it. This is somebody has created it. Looks like Skull Rocks kind of a thing. And the idea is that there's a dark side to the island that that you have to be able to look at a certain way in order to see. Right? So I picked that one. This is my last background since I'm talking about backgrounds. This one's I'm trying to make this one look again, mysterious adventure, who knows what is out there kind of an island. So there's a jet fight high up over the island that night after everybody goes to bed. And a pilot is shot down. They're talking about jets. This is a jet. This jet hits another plane. But the jet has an automatic safety switch that ejects that pilot. You can see, and there's the parachute right there. There's the plane going away. There's the parachute up above it. And the pilot escapes while the plane doesn't make it. It ends up maybe blowing up another plane. I don't know. But that's an example of somebody being shot out of the sky in a jet. And lands on the island by the fire. Okay, so the body is it parachutes out and it lands on the island sort of near the fire. The wind blows it to the fire. Sam and Eric, being in an unsettled state of mind, they don't know what to think, so it's got to be a monster. Okay, and the reason I like this picture is that the monster looks enough like the background that you can't really see the monster in that background if it doesn't want to be seen. It's got excellent camouflage. And that's what I like about this monster is that, is it a monster or is it just the leaves? Is it a monster or is it just the vines? Can you tell? And you really can't. That's why I really like this one. So they think that the thing is a monster, but what you can't see in the dark is this is a golden opportunity. Oh my gosh, is this a golden opportunity? So there's a major lost opportunity. All the goodies that the pilot had on him, from probably a pistol for protection, a knife as a survival tool, a mirror, a compass, a map, possibly rations, something to eat, drink, food, maybe water, purification tablets, possibly a locator beacon type radio where they will come looking for it, possibly a radio where you call to people and then they come get you, the parachute, the ropes. There's who knows how many different things you might find that might be extremely valuable. And again, they were terrified of the beast. Go check the beast. You're going to find a pistol. Now you don't have to be afraid of any beast. I mean, there's just an incredible opportunity lost. And why is it lost? Mindset. They're thinking beast. They're thinking monster. They're thinking scared. And when they glance into the dark with the flickering firelight, they see a monster and a beast. That's what they see. What there really is that they're looking at is a dead guy on a parachute with lots of goodies that they could use on this island to survive. They decide to look for the beast. So in the night meeting, and it's getting close to early morning by the time they've decided let's just go. They look in a new place because Jack's been everywhere on the island, and they're not sure that it's going to be up there at the mountaintop site anymore because the boys think that it left and followed them. So the only place they haven't been on the island is a new place at the very, very end where the island gets very skinny and it turns into there's a lot of rocks and there's a lot of crags and you can go in between them and you can squeeze here and squeeze in there and get around things, and it goes out to a point. It's just the end point of the island, and at one point you have this is the end of the land, and then you have a little bit of water, and there's a rock, and then there's the next piece. So it's almost broken away from the island. There's just a little a moat you have to cross with a little rock bridge to get across the moat. And then you get out to this thing that looks kind of like this. There's a lot of loose rocks out there. There's a lot of rocks tumbling down into the sea. You got to be careful where you step. When you get around the corner, you get into like this little canyon that opens up, and you're in between these sections, and it's got a skylight, and there's a big room, and there's a little tiny trickle of water in there, and that's about it. So that's what they discovered. They call it the castle. Good name for it because they got the moat there and everything. Um, However, there's no beast here. There's not much water. There is no food. They're not near the signal fire, but it is lots of fun. If your boy's looking for a fort, man, if you're gonna build a fort, if you're gonna to defend a fort, and you are gonna get into a snowball fight or a dirt clod fight or a whatever, this is one of the coolest places, man. That you've got the high ground. People can't get to you unless they cross the little bridge, and you've got all you can hide behind your walls, and they can't get to you unless they go through this difficult spot to get to you. This really is a castle. It's a perfect place to defend from. And maybe it would be useful, It could be useful, or it could be a total waste of time and energy. If they have to defend from something, then this is a great place. So what really they need to do is they need to investigate the beast first and decide if they need to hunt it or if they need protection from it or what it is. But right now they want to play in it, they waste half the day there instead of getting on with the rest of the day. And that knocks off for our first section. The second